You're live, Your Worship.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's council meeting. Council, first off, I'll need a motion for the agenda.
Your Worship, I will make said motion for the adoption of the agenda for tonight's council meeting.
Thank you, Councilor Martins.
And I will second that, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councilor Tolles. Council, this agenda was circulated to us on Friday. We all had a chance to read through it. I will go through, we've got a predetermined list if anybody's got any questions. Councilor Martins,
Nothing for me.
Councilor Tolles,
All good.
Councilor Daigle,
No questions, Your Worship.
Councilor Bowditch,
No questions, Your Worship.
Councilor Friesen,
All good, thank you.
Councilor Pluis.
Nope, the agenda looks great.
Thank you. All those in favor? Council, this motion is passed. Next off, a motion for the minutes.
Your Worship, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes from the regular meeting held June 29th, 2020.
Thank you, Councilor Daigle.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councilor Bowditch. Same thing, we've all had a chance to read through these minutes. They were circulated to us last week. If anybody sees any errors or any omissions, we will go through the list now. So Councilor Martins.
All looks good, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councilor Tolles.
All look good to me. Thanks.
Thanks, Councilor Daigle.
Satisfied, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councilor Bowditch.
All's fine, thanks, Your Worship.
Councilor Friesen.
No comments, thank you.
Councilor Pluis.
Nope, nothing to add, thanks.
Madam Clerk, you did a good job on the minutes. Moved by Councilor Daigle, seconded by Councilor Bowditch. All those in favor? Council, the motion's passed. We will look down to our set of accounts. I believe we have two this evening, and we'll hand it over to Ms. Cobbler, please.
Thank you and good evening, Your Worship and members of Council. Enclosed are the General Revenue Fund disbursements for the period of June 29th, 2020 to July 3rd, 2020. I respectfully recommend that $1,928,060.66 in disbursements be approved, which includes a payment of $289,000 for payroll benefits, a payment of $14,000 for costs associated with the 11th Avenue Northwest upgrades, a payment of $17,000 for costs associated with dugout replacement at Ford Field, a payment of $13,000 for the purchase of chemicals for use by the water treatment plant, a payment of $12,000 for the purchase of UV reactor sensors for the wastewater treatment plant, a payment of $17,000 for costs related to arena lighting at Westside Park, purchase of filter turbidimeter parts for the water treatment plant, and underground vaults for the 11th Avenue Northwest upgrade. A payment of $16,000 for the purchase and delivery of gravel for use by the Streets and Transportation Department at various locations. A payment of $23,000 to supply and install rural water pipeline flush points. A progress payment of $19,000 for costs associated with the 2020 paving maintenance contract. A payment of $36,000 for materials and labor related to lift station rehabilitation. A payment of $891,000 for policing costs. Payment of $27,000 for the purchase of bedding plants and planter boxes for city parks and facilities. A payment of $13,000 for costs associated with the landfill cover material contract. Partial payment of $191,000 for the purchase of a towable runway sweeper for the airport. A payment of $22,000 for costs related to slope grading at the East Landfill, and a payment of $133,000 for costs associated with storm manhole rehabilitation at multiple locations.
Thank you, Ms. Cobbler. Council.
Your Worship, I'll move that we accept the recommendation of paying $1,928,060.66 in disbursements for the period June 29th to July 3rd.
Thank you, Councilor Friesen.
Worship, I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Councilor Pluis. We will go through and see if anybody's got any questions for this. I will start with Councilor Martins.
No questions, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councilor Tolles.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Daigle.
I'm good. Thanks, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councilor Bowditch.
I'm good, Your Worship, thanks.
Thanks, Councilor Friesen.
No questions, Your Worship, thank you.
Councilor Pluis.
Yeah, no questions from me either, thank you.
Well, thank you, Council. This motion was made by Councilor Friesen. It was seconded by Councilor Pluis. All those in favor? Council, this motion's passed. Please go ahead, Ms. Cobbler, on the second set of accounts.
Enclosed are the general revenue fund disbursements for the period of July 13th, 2020 to July 17th, 2020. I respectfully recommend that $2,522,684.04 in disbursements be approved. Included in that amount is a payment of $361,000 for payroll benefits, a payment of $1,010,000 for the purchase of energy, a payment of $19,000 for power costs in city facilities outside of our franchise area, a payment of $96,000 for the purchase of transformers for use by the Light and Power Department, a payment of $27,000 for the purchase of computer hardware to be used by the IT department at various locations, a payment of $13,000 for the purchase of chemicals for use by the water treatment plant, payment of $220,000 for the second installment of the 2020 municipal grant for Chinook Regional Library, a payment of $19,000 for the purchase of underground cable for use by the Light and Power Department, a payment of $62,000 for costs associated with the downtown streetscape rehabilitation project, a payment of $20,000 for the purchase of water valve part inventory for use by the Public Works Department, a payment of $15,000 for costs associated with the yard waste program, a payment of $17,000 for support costs for the utility billing software system, payment of $66,000 for costs associated with the wastewater treatment plant, creek crossing, and Highway 4 intersection repairs, a payment of $15,000 for costs associated with the 2020 tree maintenance program, including pruning and removal, a payment of $11,000 for costs associated with the 2020 line painting program, a payment of $11,000 for the purchase of computer hardware for the IT department, payment of $15,000 for costs associated with annual audit services, a payment of $40,000 for costs associated with the 2020 paving contract, payment of $17,000 for filter under drain cleaning at the water treatment plant, a payment of $57,000 for costs associated with the replacement of a 2013 John Deere mower for community services, a payment of $13,000 for costs associated with window and door upgrades at the Stockade building, a payment of $57,000 for electrical costs associated with the irrigation system at the Windscape Kite Festival site, gas detection system at the equipment storage garage, and office renovations at the Innovation Credit Union iPlex, a payment of $22,000 for costs associated with the 2020 pothole patching contract, a payment of $35,000 for application of slurry seal to the secondary airport runway, as well as costs associated with the 2020 paved street maintenance, a payment of $15,000 for the replacement of the oil separator at Fairview Arena, and finally a payment of $21,000 for costs associated with the Chaplain Street Bridge Rehabilitation, Chinook Parkway Extension, and 2020 road program.
Thank you, Ms. Cobbler. Council.
Your worship, I will make the recommendation that $2,522,684.04 in disbursements be paid.
Thank you, Councillor Bowditch.
Second that, your worship.
Thank you, Councillor Martins. Same thing, we'll go through and see if anybody's got any questions or comments from Ms. Cobbler in regards to these set of accounts. I'll start off with Councillor Martins.
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tolles.
Well explained by Ms. Cobbler. Thank you.
Councillor Daigle.
Yes, I'd like to make a point here. You see that this is a pretty hefty bill that we're paying, but I think it's over the two time periods. And also that fully 1 million of this is allocated to purchase of energy at wholesale price that we get to turn around and sell at a retail price to our customers at the same rate that SAS Power does. That profit helps offset any of our, some capital purchases that we have down the road. So to me, it's a good deal.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle. Well explained. Councillor Bowditch.
No questions, your worship.
Thank you. Councillor Friesen.
No questions, thanks.
Councillor Pluis. You're on mute, Councillor Pluis.
I'm sorry, I was pushed the button twice there. I was just going to say I was happy that Councillor Daigle stole my thunder there. Nothing to add.
You bet. This motion is made by Councillor Bowditch, seconded by Councillor Martins. All those in favor? Council, this motion's passed. I will hand it over next to our General Manager of Community Services. Please go ahead, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Your Worship, through the members of council. The subject of this report is the 2020 Fairview East Arena upgrade. At the last council meeting, it was approved to use a portion of the MEEP funding that the province provided the city of Swift Current for upgrades to the Fairview East Arena. As previously stated, failure to the header system will result in the closure of this ice surface for the remainder of a season, putting programming for a significant number of user groups at risk. The work to complete a new header system for refrigeration for a 185 by 86 concrete pad and provide new boards and glass for a budget of $950,000. The Fairview Arena in the city of Swift Current is used extensively during the winter operating season. The existing east ice surface presently is a sand floor with a refrigerated piping system, which limits the facility to winter operation only. The new refrigerated concrete floor with underslab heat piping will provide a state-of-the-art polyfusion embedded piping system for more efficient energy operation and offer off-season dry pad usage for sports like lacrosse, ball hockey, and others. The summary of the RFPs received is as follows. Pricing is PST included and GST excluded. Stevenson, $876,193.88. Reward, $796,908. And again, the budget was $950,000. Stevenson Industrial Refrigeration Limited is a Saskatchewan company that will be utilizing 2 local businesses during the construction process, while Reward is an Alberta-based company using an Alberta refrigeration company with no mention of using local businesses. The Reward bid also did not list all of its subcontractors. The Stevenson bid is stating a 90-day completion, while Reward is stating 115 days to complete. The extra completion time would place the community and the user group in a difficult situation in the allocation of ice in the community, and 1 extra month of downtime would reduce revenue at the Fairview facility by about $24,000 for the month of November. Stevenson floor and dashboard system comes with a 2-year warranty, while Reward has a 1-year floor and a 2-year dashboard warranty. Stevenson Refrigeration has completed 21 arena surfaces in Saskatchewan alone in the past 10 years. The collective group Stevenson has put together for this project encompasses vast experience working together. Rice and arena floor specialists have done over 200 arena concrete floors, including 24 in Saskatchewan, and Omnisport Inc. have installed 20 dashboard systems in Saskatchewan, including Cabri and Shaunavon most recently. Given the above information and the fact that Reward didn't list any of its subcontractors, longer time period to complete the project, along with Stevenson's credentials and complete proposal, administration has the confidence that Stevenson's bid will provide the best product within budget for the city of Swift Current. Therefore, it is respectfully recommended that the Fairview East Arena upgrade be awarded to Stevenson Industrial Refrigeration Limited of Regina for a total amount of $876,193.88, PST included and GST excluded.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Council.
Your worship, I'd like to move Mr. Jones' recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Pluis.
I'd be happy to second that, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle. Council will go through the same chance to see if any councillors have any questions or comments for Mr. Jones. I'll start it off with Councillor Martins.
Thanks, Your Worship. No particular questions. I'm very pleased with the amount of detail in the explanation as to the reason being for the chosen group to take care of this project. So just thank you to Mr. Jones and his team for doing a lot of the legwork to ensure we get the best product that we can for and remain within budget.
Thank you, Councillor Martins. Councillor Tolles. You're on mute, Councillor Tolles.
Thank you. We had a good discussion on this last council meeting with the funding from the government, so I think we're all good.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle.
I appreciate what Councillor Martins had put forward here. I do appreciate the depth that Mr. Jones went into this to ensure that we're getting the best bang for our buck, and not necessarily is the lowest bid usually or always the best bid. So I appreciate this.
Thank you, Councillor Bowditch.
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I'm just really happy to see that they listed some local contractors, subcontractors for them. I think that's very, very positive, and thank you very much for all the detail on the tender there.
Thank you, Councillor Bowditch. Councillor Friesen.
Thanks, Your Worship. I guess I agree with all the previous comments, and just one of the important things for me was the timing, and the fact that will give us an extra month of use for this winter. And so to me, that's fairly important. So thank you for that.
Councillor Friesen. Councillor Pluis.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I think it's been pretty well said by everybody else, but the high points here are, when administration brings a recommendation to us for council, I'm always pretty loath to look at any other options because I've got such trust in our team. And I just wanted to say thanks to Mr. Jones in this case for bringing such a detailed report, particularly with the reasoning behind the decision. It makes it pretty easy for us to have faith in that being a good recommendation. So I was happy to move it, and I'll be even happier to support your worship.
Thank you, Councillor Pluis. Thank you all, council, for your comments. Thank you for administration for bringing it forward. This motion was made by Councillor Pluis, seconded by Councillor Daigle. Council, all those in favor? Madam Clerk, the motion is passed. Mr. Jones, please continue. Oh, before you do, sorry, one thing. Go ahead, please, Councillor Pluis.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship, for this next report. It involves the Swift Current Broncos Hockey Club. There's a couple of things, I guess, that I want to declare conflict for, just in the in an effort to be as open and transparent as possible in this. This is important for municipally elected officials. I'm an elected board member of the Swift Current Broncos Hockey Club, so I do serve on the board. I used to serve on the board as a representative council, but about a year ago, I became an elected member of that board, so continue to serve there, but in a different capacity that no longer necessarily represents the city. So there's a conflict in that for me. And then secondly, the subject matter of this report has to deal with some of the suites that are in the iPlex, and my business, Standard Motors, is a suite holder as well. So I feel maybe a bit more of a remote link there in terms of conflict, but again, in an effort of being as transparent as possible, I wanted to mention that as well. So in either event, the end result is that I'll be declaring a conflict, and I will be put in the timeout box until the rest of council moves on to the next report.
Thank you, Councillor Pluis. Are there any other conflicts before we move on? Seeing none, Mr. Routillier, can you put Councillor Pluis in the lobby? Go ahead, please, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through to members of council, the subject of this report is the Swift Current Bronco Partnership, a new agreement. The Swift Current Broncos Hockey Club and the City of Swift Current strive for a strong and vibrant relationship which is built upon trust and respect for both mutual and independent organizational goals. This was accentuated as both parties agreed to a partnership and prosperity agreement in September of 2012 to better serve all stakeholders by working collaboratively as partners in business operations. The current agreement expired on June 1st, 2020. This agreement was combined with other agreements that cover the following areas into one document: occupation of private suites, occupied suite ticketing, maintenance of private suites, responsibility of use of the private suites, and other housekeeping items such as practice and games, signage, ice rentals, cancellation policies, utilities, rental spaces, insurance, storage, rules and regulations, dressing room protocols, and cleaning specifications. The City of Swift Current partners with many groups with the desire to work together in offering many different sporting, cultural, and educational opportunities for all levels of competition. The Swift Current Broncos are a local not-for-profit organization that is operated by a dedicated volunteer board of directors with the sole purpose of growing the sport of hockey in Swift Current, the Southwest, and the province of Saskatchewan. Amidst COVID-19 restrictions and uncertainty, the club has continued to work very hard on retaining sponsorship, streamlining operations, and planning for the 2020-2021 hockey season. Hockey is an important winter sport in our community. A strong partnership between the city and the Swift Current Broncos will continue to enhance the sport and encourage a volunteer base with the enthusiasm required to address the hard work that is essential in promoting junior hockey at the Western Hockey League level in the city of Swift Current. This new agreement has come together after many meetings of City of Swift Current administration, Swift Current Broncos staff, and board members. The City of Swift Current city solicitor has been involved and made recommendations in the shaping of this final agreement. This agreement is for 5 years and comes into effect immediately once approved by council. Therefore, it is respectfully recommended that council approves a new 5-year agreement with the Swift Current Broncos Hockey Club, Inc. of the Western Hockey League, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the said agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Council.
Your Worship, I'll move that council approves the new 5-year agreement with the Swift Current Broncos Hockey Club of the WHL, and that yourself and the city clerk be authorized to sign the agreement.
Thank you, Councillor Friesen.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Bowditch. We'll go through our list to see if anyone's got any questions or comments for Mr. Jones, and I'll start it off with Councillor Martins.
Thanks, Your Worship. Not much to say. Just excited to see another 5-year agreement like this come into place, and just happy to see a beloved team like the Broncos continue to remain where they should be.
Well said. Thank you, Councillor Martins. Councillor Tolles.
Well, thank you. Well said by Mr. Jones. We had an 8-page document attached to our agenda with all of the outline of the memorandum, and sluggish reading, but we got through it. And I think it's a good, it'll be a good thing for the city and for the Broncos.
Thank you, Councillor Tolles. Councillor Daigle.
Yes, Your Worship. I just want to thank Mr. Jones for the effort he puts into most of his document, or all of his documents that's presented to us. They're very detailed. There's no questions that a person has regarding them, and I think this is a great agreement with the Broncos. So again, thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle. Councillor Bowditch.
Thank you, Your Worship. Everything's been very well said. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Friesen.
Just to comment, Your Worship, I'd just like to commend the city and the Broncos for continuing to work together and build on the strong relationship that's been developed the last few years. And I know our community certainly appreciates having the Broncos, and they're great for the city. So thanks to everyone for their hard work and for the continued working together.
Thank you, Councillor Friesen. Council, this motion was made by Councillor Friesen. It was seconded by Councillor Bowditch. All those in favor? Motion's passed. Mr. Cotillier, please invite Councillor Lewis back to the meeting. Welcome back, Councillor Lewis. And up next is Madam Clerk. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship and members of council. The subject of this report is a general election bylaw. Recent amendments to the Local Government Election Act of 2015 allows the city to establish a general election bylaw to encompass several procedure and legislative matters previously provided either by resolution or under multiple bylaws. Furthermore, regulations were relaxed to include other persons besides the returning officer or designated election official to witness and verify identification for the application of the mail-in ballots. Considering uncertainties of the COVID-19 pandemic, steps have been taken to ensure that contactless voting options are available to electors within the city of Swift Current. At the regular meeting of council held June 29th, council approved that a general election bylaw be prepared encompassing previously enacted bylaws and requirements within current legislation. It is therefore respectfully recommended that council waives notice of its intention to introduce a general election bylaw.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council.
I'd like to make the motion that we waive the notice of intention to introduce a general election bylaw.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle.
And I will second that, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Tolles. Go through the list and see if anyone's got any questions or comments for Madam Clerk. Please go ahead, Councillor Martins.
No questions, Your Worship.
Thank you so much. Councillor Tolles.
No, in this time of total uncertainty and everything, I think this is a mandatory thing we have to do to get ready for our upcoming election.
Thank you. Councillor Daigle.
No, I don't have any questions, Your Worship.
Councillor Bowditch.
Nothing here, Your Worship.
Councillor Friesen.
Further, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis.
No, just business as unusual. Thanks, Your Worship. Nothing to add.
Fair enough. This motion was made by Councillor Daigle, seconded by Councillor Tolles. All those in favor? Council, the motion's passed. Got quite a few pages here to get through, Council, and then we're going to move on to our next one. We're joined tonight by our Fire Chief, Ryan Hunter. Welcome to Council, Chief, and you're going to go through, I think, our mutual aid agreement. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council members. The subject of this report is a mutual aid agreement with the rural municipality of the Swift Current number 137. for the purpose of mutual aid assistance between the city's fire department and RM of Swift Current number 137 Fire Department, an updated agreement between the two parties is needed. Services that are included in this agreement, but are not limited to, are vehicle extrication, surface water rescue, surface ice rescue, confined space rescue, trench rescue, rope rescue, farm equipment rescue, hazardous materials, and fire protection assistance. This agreement remains substantially unchanged from the past agreements except for dates and fees. The new dates will reflect the new term agreed upon as well as the new rates for services as agreed upon. The chart below lists the new dates and fees showing a $50 increase per year for each consecutive year. I recommend that Council approves the attached agreement between the City of Swift Current and the RM of Swift Current 137, and that the Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to sign said agreement.
Thank you so much, Chief. Council.
Your worship, I'll make the motion. The council approve the attached agreement between the City of Swift Current and the RM of Swift Current number 137, and that the Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to sign the agreement.
Thank you, Councilor Martins.
Second that, Your worship.
Oh, thanks to Councilor Pluis. Council, we'll go through and see if anybody's got any questions for our chief. Start up with Councilor Martins.
No questions, Your worship. It was very, very explanatory in the attached pamphlet, so it was good.
Thanks, Councilor Tolles.
Oh, all good. Good to see all kinds of partnerships with the RM in the city, and the more the better. Thank you.
Councilor Daigle.
I agree with Councillor Tolles. It's great to see this cooperation going with our neighboring jurisdictions.
Thank you, Councilor Bowditch.
Nothing to add, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councilor Friesen.
All well said. Thanks, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councilor Pluis.
Yeah, thanks. I just had a quick question for Chief Hunter, and welcome to Council, Chief Hunter.
Thanks.
This report, this is the second time that we've gone through basically the same thing, just with a new term, obviously with the RM. I fully support the agreement. I think it's great. I just was wondering, and I guess it's not super important for the purposes of our business tonight, but scratches just an itch I had. Is this the second iteration of this, or is this now the third iteration of this kind of same agreement with the RM?
The background on that, I'm actually not familiar with, so I can get that back to you, because this is something that the previous chief was working on, and that Jackie and I ended up working on after his passing. I can get the information for you. Would you like me to send that to you in an email, or do you want me to bring that to the next council meeting?
No, Chief Hunter, I don't think it's necessary. Like I said, the answer is really irrelevant to the business of what we're going on today. I mean, the agreement stands for itself, and like you said, it's very similar to the last one. I support it. I think it's great. All the same comments as what everybody else had. I just couldn't remember if it. I guess I've been on council too long. I can't remember how many times I've been through these agreements anymore. But I guess the point is that we're establishing a nice long relationship with the RM's fire department here, and it's a very positive thing to see. So thanks for your work on it. I'll be in support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Pluis. Maybe, Chief, if you don't mind, when you do get that information, just send it off to me or through Tim, and I'll definitely disseminate it down to council. So thank you for that. This motion was made by Councilor Martins. It was seconded by Councilor Pluis. All those in favor? Council, the motion's passed. That gets us through our items for action for this evening. We will go down next. We've got 2 bylaws. Just give me 1 sec as I get correct notation out. So at this time, there's a borrowing bylaw for financing within general government and utility operations. I'll call upon the city clerk to present the first motion.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Martins and second by Councillor Daigle that Bill number 6 of 2020 be introduced and read a first time.
Council members, are you in favor of the first reading?
That Bill number 6, 2020 be introduced and read a first time this 27th day of July, 2020.
Madam Clerk, do you wish a second reading?
Yes, I do, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Martins, second by Councillor Daigle that Bill number 6, 2020 be given a second reading.
Council members, are you in favor of the second reading?
That Bill number 6 of 2020 read a second time this 27th day of July, 2020.
This bylaw is now open for discussion. At this time, I'll call upon Councillor Martins to give a bit more clarity to the motion.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the borrowing bylaw is to complete the funding of the 2020 capital investment projects. To do so, an additional $5,998,821 in debt is required. Using debt to finance infrastructure investments distributes the cost of long-term assets across generations of residents who will utilize these assets. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, interest rates have fallen to an all-time low to stimulate investment in the economy, making this a good time to secure long-term borrowings. Borrowings for the capital investments are as follows: through general government, which was $4,343,821, as allocated for the installation of concrete floor and replacement of the header at Fairview Arena, which we heard about this evening. Continued Chinook Parkway development, rehabilitation of the 11th Avenue Northwest, replacement of the Chaplain Street Bridge expansion joints, realignment of the intersection of Battleford Trail and Central Avenue North, and rehabilitation of paved streets, sidewalks, and curbing. The Water and Wastewater Utility Fund, which encompasses $1,150,000. Those borrowings are intended to fund the replacement of a portion of the water treatment plant roof, improvements to residential management at the water treatment plant, the North Hill Reservoir upgrade, replacement of filter turbine diameters. We're going to move on. And rehabilitation programs for hydrants, water valves, pressure reducing valves, and sanitary manholes. And the Rural Water Utility Fund, which encompasses $505,000, are allocated towards the upgrades to the East Pipeline and land purchase for pump houses. We managed to lock in a 20-year fixed term at 1.713%. Quarterly payments will begin in 2020 in the amount of approximately $88,721. And the sources of money to support the principal and interest payments for the borrowings are fully funded as per the 2020 budget and will be funded by the Water and Wastewater Utility Fund, the Rural Water Utility Fund, and general government.
Thank you, Councillor Martins. Turbidimeters, I think, is the word, the filters, and 1.7% on 20 years is very attractive debt. Madam Clerk, do you wish to have 3 readings of this bylaw?
Yes, I do, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Martins and second by Councillor Daigle that unanimous consent be given to read Bill number 6, 2020 a third time.
Council members, are you in favor of giving Bill number 6, 2020 3 readings at this meeting? Madam Clerk, please proceed with the motion for the 3rd reading of this bylaw.
Moved by Councillor Martins and second by Councillor Daigle that Bill number 6 be given a 3rd reading and finally passed this 27th day of July, 2020.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do have a second bylaw for discussion tonight, and it is to introduce a general election bylaw. I'll call upon Madam Clerk to present the first motion.
Thank you, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Daigle and second by Councillor Pluis that Bill number 7 of 2020 be introduced and read a first time.
Council members, are you in favor of the first reading?
Move that Bill number 7 of 2020 be introduced and read a first time this 27th day of July, 2020.
Madam Clerk, do you wish a second reading?
Yes, I do, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Daigle and second by Councillor Pluis that Bill number 7, 2020 be given a second reading.
Council members, are you in favor of the second reading?
That Bill number 7, 2020 read a second time this 27th day of July, 2020.
This bylaw is now open for discussion. At this time, I'll call upon Councillor Daigle to give some more clarity to this bylaw.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. With the recent changes to the Local Government Election Act in 2015, our city clerk engaged in the Ministry of Government Relationships, along with other cities, to review the best past practices and procedures as it pertains to the conduct of an election. A general election bylaw was created on the foundation of this act and further addressed housekeeping issues in previously enacted bylaws. One of the most notable changes was the enhancement of the mail-in ballot process, permitting other persons besides designated election officials to witness an application for a mail-in ballot. Due to the uncertainty of COVID-19 pandemic, it is anticipated there will be a higher demand from electors requesting to vote by way of mail-in ballot. And in order to accommodate a process that does not require an in-person application, further procedural enhancements were identified and established within this bylaw. Our local team of election officials explored ways to improve processes and efficiencies while taking into consideration the COVID-19 restrictions. With the expansion of advanced polling dates and times, mobile and special polling stations, along with the mail-in ballot option, electors are provided with increased opportunities to vote. I just want to take a moment at this time and thank Madam Clerk for this clean and well-prepared document. The effort delivered shows the quality of this document. And so I also want to make a friendly reminder that November 9th is election day, and I encourage all residents within the city to cast their vote for mayor and city council members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle. Madam Clerk, do you wish to have 3 readings of this bylaw?
Yes, I do, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Daigle and second by Councillor Pluis that unanimous consent be given to read Bill number 7, 2020 a third time.
Council members, are you in favor of giving Bill number 7, 2020 3 readings at this meeting? Madam Clerk, please proceed with the motion for the 3rd reading of this bylaw.
Moved by Councillor Daigle and second by Councillor Pluis that Bill number 7, 2020 be given 3rd reading and finally passed this 27th day of July, 2020.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That gets us through our bylaws for this evening. We do have 2 items under new business. They're both items that we'll be receiving and filing. The first is the Swift Current Branch Library Board meeting agenda for July the 15th, 2020. And second is the Southwest Transportation Planning Council Incorporated Executive Working Committee meeting minutes of June the 26th, 2020. We all have a copy of these in our packages. We've all had a chance to read through them, but I will be looking for a motion to receive and file.
Your Worship, I'll make the motion that we receive and file the items that you just mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bowditch.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Pluis. Moved by Councillor Bowditch, seconded by Councillor Pluis. All those in favor? Council, this motion's passed. Next, Mr. Minkin.
Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. This request is for an item to be discussed in camera. The subject is contracts and proposals. Under the Local Authority Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act justification, Section 16, plans or positions related to management, personnel, policy, or budgeting decision. The meeting is requested to be held immediately following tonight's council meeting on July 27th, 2020. Staff members to be in attendance are the Chief Administrative Officer, General Manager, Infrastructure and Operations, General Manager, Corporate Services, and the City Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Minkin. Council, we'll need a motion.
Your Worship, I'll move that we go in camera immediately following this council meeting with the CAO, General Manager, Infrastructure and Operations, and General Manager of Corporate Services, and the City Clerk to be in attendance along with the council.
Thank you, Councillor Friesen.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Councillor Daigle. Council will go through and see if anybody has any questions in regards to this. We'll start off with Councillor Martins.
No questions, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Tolles.
We're all good, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle.
No questions, Your Worship.
Councillor Bowditch.
No questions here, Your Worship.
Councillor Friesen.
All good, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Pluis.
Nothing for me.
Motion to go in camera made by Councillor Friesen, seconded by Councillor Daigle. All those in favor? Council, the motion's passed. Next, just under reports of council members or inquiries, I know Councillor Pluis, you had a question. You want to go ahead, please?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. It's not a question. It's actually an inquiry of management. We've got a lot of asphalt and roadwork projects happening around the community right now. I know people have had to maybe find a couple of new and innovative ways to make it to home or to work the last few days, especially if you're like me and you forget every single day that the same road is closed and has been for a month, but continue to go down that road anyways, and somehow continue to be surprised by it. I'm just wondering if the folks in admin could give us just a general update on the roadwork projects that are happening around the community.
Sure, I would be happy to, Councillor Pluis. Yes, we got about another 3 weeks of busy activity planned yet. However, I am happy to report that the Battleford Trail and Central Avenue upgrades are completed. 11th Avenue Northwest in proximity of the #1 highway is winding down, and barring any major weather events, should be open for the long weekend. We have also managed to complete all our planned projects for the year that were in place after our budget adjustment. So those include quickly South Railway Southwest in proximity to the Pioneer Elevator, George Street around 11th Avenue Northeast, 11th Avenue Northeast, Chaplain to Bell, and some work on Chaplain Street in the 1st to 3rd Northeast. We've begun work on the additional paving projects that were added in, which are the we refer to them as the mill and fill projects. We began work on those last week, and we'll continue on those for the next couple of weeks, and sort of towards the intent is we'd be finished most of the paving projects by the middle of August. So just stay tuned for some more restrictions and activity going on as we complete those 3.2 kilometers of projects.
Thank you, Mr. Minkin, for the explanation. Much appreciated. I'm sure that's on the minds of lots of our residents.
Can I add to that, Your Worship?
For sure you can.
Yeah, I am really pleased with the progress that we've made this summer. Not only being able to take advantage of some of the MEAP funding, but we also were able to use local contractors and a lot of our own city staff for a lot of these projects. So keeps everybody rolling, and much needed improvements for some of these areas. And again, thank you, Mr. Minkin, for that.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle. Thank you, Councillor Pluis. That gets us through our business for this evening. Just a reminder to the public, please continue to wash your hands. Please continue to practice social distancing. Please stay home if you're not feeling well. No interprovincial travel if it's not needed. And please continue to be kind to one another, especially to all of the other residents in the Southwest. We truly will get through this together. With that, Council, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
Worship, I will make said motion to adjourn tonight's council meeting for Monday, July 27th.
Thank you, Councillor Martins.
And I will second that, Your Worship.
Councillor Tolles, moved by Councillor Martin, second by Councillor Tolles. All those in favor? Motion's passed. Have a good week, everybody.